Dana White right now is coping, trying to gas up this quote unquote badass main card for UFC 318. But when you actually look at the card, it is clearly lacking huge names. It is clearly lacking the hype that most of these pay per views have, or at least try to get. And on top of that, there's a main event that I don't think many people necessarily care for. This is not the fight that I wanted Dustin Poirier to have in his retirement fight, and we will get into it. Because, yeah, this is a sad state of affairs, guys. I mean, when I saw initially this main card pop up at UFC 317, the last pay-per-view, I was like, we are cooked when I saw, Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Ige in the co-main event. So this is what Dana White had to say. He said, this card is so badass. The BMF card is officially finalized. This is going to be a fun fight in New Orleans, right? So this is the full card, okay, guys? Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, and then you could see a noticeable drop-off right away. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov being the co-main event. I'm not even sure if that should have been the co-main event given some of the other fights on this card. There's also Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez, not a bad fight. Dan Ige, Patricio Pitbull, Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Those are not bad fights, guys, but tell me not. Like, these four fights are giving like a fight night vibe. This isn't giving a pay-per-view. And that's just the main card, guys. I mean, here are the prelim fights, and arguably, I think the prelims might be even better than some of these main card fights. Like Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen's a fight that I'm looking forward to. These two have beef. Like, there was like, I think it was like a year or two ago, they got into some sort of bar fight. Otibe Gauthier, I'm excited for him. I like him. I think that he could potentially be a big name in the UFC. I liked his last fight. I like his last win, his last KO. And yeah, I mean, look, the prelims, they're not the worst, okay, guys? The prelims are not the worst, but I think you guys can clearly see that this isn't what we're expecting from pay-per-views. This isn't what we're expecting from one of the best events supposed to be of the year, right? I mean, these pay-per-views are supposed to be the highlight of the year. This is the highlight of the year. This is what you're giving us here. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov in the co-main event. Paulo Costa's on a 2-fight losing streak, guys. Are we serious? Roman Kopylov is ranked number 14. Like, this is not a good co-main event to a pay-per-view. Like, there's no gaslighting me into this. So to talk about this card even more, I wanted to bring on a special guest, JayMMA. You guys might know him for covering Undisputed Boxing as well as talking about MMA all over Twitter. And Jay, we were just talking about this card, okay? We were just talking about the fact that clearly it's lackluster. Clearly there's some names missing. I mean, the main event itself, I wanted to know your thoughts because I have been saying for a little bit now, I think the main event maybe should have been Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. What are your thoughts on the main event?
Um, Personally, being that I'm actually in New Orleans, I feel like this. I wouldn't say it's terrible per se, but I will say that for like an actual avid fan, it just really isn't. It's not justifiable for the prices of the tickets. The tickets are like around 600 to 700, and those are not even for like lower levels. I mean, you get Paulo Costa, you get the debut of Patricio Pitbull, you get obviously the main event with Max and Dustin, but outside of that, it's just I don't see how it's worthwhile, especially being that it's someone's retirement fight in their hometown. You think you would just pack it with known names, and I just don't feel like this is enough.
I think it's interesting you put it that way because that's kind of what I was literally just saying. There are some good fights. Like, I'm not saying that, there's just terrible fights, but it just feels like it's just missing something, right? I mean, there's the main event, but then the co-main event, like you said, if it's Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov being the co-main event, I mean, come on, that's not a good co-main event. Paulo Costa lost his last three. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just not feeling the card overall. But you said you live in New Orleans, so you're not going to this card, right? You feel like it's
Yeah,
not
I
worth it.
was gonna go. I actually brought tickets. Like when the pre-sale happened, I just got tickets because I was like, I'm gonna go. And then they started announcing more of the card. I was like, Michael Johnson. Do I really want to go see that in person? Respectfully, I like Michael Johnson. Dan Ige, do I really want to go see that in person? Not really. I think Kevin Holland and D Rod is cool. It's just like I'm looking at this and like it's not fun to me. Like this isn't appealing, and especially since like there's not really like a ton of like combat sports events that happen down here that are like major like this. And to see like I would assume this would have been like a gateway because I know Dustin has been exited for this for like years now to have a car down here. You're putting a sour taste in people's mouths, especially because the week after you got Whitaker. The rid of that card is freaking stacked, and
Mm,
that's a fight night card. I
that's a great
would
point.
have expected that to be pay-per-view worthy. So I don't know, man. I feel like the pay-per-views and this isn't just like this card. This has happened like a lot last year. Some cards this year they just feel dull. You know.
And I think that's exactly a great point to bring up. Like, if this was a fight night, of course, this is a great fight night. You know what I mean? But the fact that this is being charged at, you have to buy the pay per view or you have to buy tickets to go into the venue, that's ridiculous for this level card. But I also wanted just to circle back a little bit about the main event. Would you have chose Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier? Like I said, me, I wanted to see the trilogy between Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. That was my preference, but I want to know what you think.
Personally, I would have done Gaethje, Poirier 3, or I just would have went to Poirier and Poirier. I know obviously hindsight 2020, he knocked out Charles, and honestly, I'm a huge Dustin fan, and I would honestly be scared for him going into that fight. But I honestly think if you're gonna have a send off for someone who's just known for wars, Gaethje and Topuria are gonna be the two best options. Max is coming up back to 155. You know, he fought Gaethje, went back down, fought Topuria, and now he's coming back up. So I would have liked to see something else other than Max Holloway. Yeah, I don't know. It's just putting the sour taste in my mouth. And then the BMF title is being retired after this as well. So I don't know. I don't feel I'm not mad at it per se. Like it's cool. Like I'm gonna watch it because it's Max and Dustin. But I feel like you could have set up more things with this. You could have set up Taporia beating a well-known, probably the best boxer in this division, hands down.
Hmm.
Set him up beating Poirier. Then we possibly could have got him in the title fight. Obviously, again, hindsight, Islam moving up and things like that. But there were just so many better options. And then Gaethje's talking about if he's not getting a title shot, he's gonna retire. And then I heard something about him fighting Patty, and then it's not true. This would have been a perfect fight for that to set him up
Yeah.
for a title shot with Taporia or with Charles or whatever they may have been. So I definitely think those two options were better than Max, but not even close.
And I agree, and I've been saying this as well, and I'm glad you feel the same. And another thing about this is, while Dustin, yeah, he is getting the hometown retirement fight, and it is getting, special treatment in that way. Really, this matchup, like him winning against Max Holloway, he's won the third time. It doesn't really add too much for him. If he would have beaten Gaethje, he would have gone back to win. If he would have beaten Topuria, that's a guy up and coming that a lot of people have a lot of respect for, especially after the Charles knockout. So I agree with you
Exactly.
there. I think there was a lot of other better options. I agree. But what are your thoughts on some of the prelim fights? I know you mentioned Marvin Vettori. You're not liking that fight. I was actually going to ask you about that fight because not a lot of people are talking about it. But I think it was around a year ago. These two had some sort of street fight. Is that a fight that you're looking at, or is that you're just like you don't fuck with Marvin Vettori? You're not feeling that.
No, I don't. And Brendan Allen is actually from Louisiana. I just
Hmm.
don't like the way he fights. I think Connor Phillips and Oliveira. That. I honestly agree that should be the future prelim. I do think
Hmm.
that's a heavily slept on card. But looking at the rest of this, like nothing stands out except Kyler Phillips and then Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen. But I know what we're gonna get out of that fight. We're either gonna get one of two things. One of them is just gonna wrestle and just cage grind and try to lay on one another, or there's gonna be a stalemate in a wrestling, and they're gonna try to strike. And respectfully, neither of them are like the greatest strikers ever. So I don't know, man. Again, like th- this would have been a better fight night card. Like you said, this would have been better on a fight night card. Because I'm looking at this Whitaker Doretta card again. I hate to keep going back to it, but you look at the prelims on this. You got Krylov, you got Amanda Ribas and Tabitha Ricci. Like there's so many fights. Stephen Wynn's fight. You have so many fights on here that you could have put on a prelims and have been like, okay, like whoa, this is a main that's enticing to go see. You got Magomed Sharpudin coming back against a vet at middleweight. Bryce Mitchell
Perion.
Saeed, yeah, Pradion fighting Marcus McGee. Like all of
Yeah.
those could have been on this card.
Yeah.
Even Evolov and Pico. That's like a
Hmm.
amazing fight, 5 rounder. I think that would have been a better co-main event than the current one with Kopylov and Costa, because with Paulo Costa, we don't even know if he's gonna make weight. That's like, unfortunately, that's an actual thing with this guy's a
Yeah.
professional fighter. We have to debate if he's gonna make weight or not. But it's I don't know, man. I really don't like the prelims. If I'm being honest, outside of the Kyler Phillips fight, though. If I'm like being truthful,
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I think there when you make something a pay per view, there's just a completely different standard of judging this card, and I agree. And even looking at, like you said, I think it was a great point you brought up this Abu Dhabi card because I'm now looking at it as well. And Robert Whitaker, Renee DeRitter, I mean, honestly, that would have been an amazing co-main event. I know that's the main
Hmm.
event. You'd have to rip that off, but I mean, that would have been a great co-main event. And that is maybe even not a number one contenders fight, but if Renier de Winner wins, I mean, that's a really big deal. So I could see that not being number one contenders fight, but definitely being very important for the division. One last question I got to ask you, and look, you could be honest. I'm sitting at 3-17 record right now online, undisputed boxing. Okay, is it time for me to retire or what?
Um, I wouldn't say retire. Yeah, I mean you can go on a teacher Dillashaw hiatus.
Yeah.
I'd say because right now the game really isn't like in the best current state. Neither is UFC 5. Like the
Mhm.
the combat sports fans just get the short end of the stick on that. But nah, I wouldn't say completely give it up. No.
I won't give up my hope then. No, I've been playing a lot undisputed, and I know you're big on the game as well. You know, I got to say thank you, Jay, for coming on. I'm glad to talk to you about the card. Glad to vent out the frustration, to be honest, with another MMA fan.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
So that was JayMMA, and I agree with a lot of what he had to say. I mean, this card is cheeks. I mean, let's be honest, guys. This card is not up to par with where I think it should be, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the card. Check out my last video where I talked about Conor McGregor facing 10 years in prison for perjury charges. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.